first talk begins with a statement from MAIA Group, led by actress, poet and changemaker Adaya Henry, an amazing artist who is a community lead at Yard. MAIA is an art and social justice organisation based in the West Midlands, UK, and working worldwide. I introduce you to the amazing Adaya Henry.
Hi everyone, good afternoon. So MAIA was set up in 2013, initially in the hope of providing better infrastructure and opportunity for artists in Birmingham, particularly those who are black, brown, low income, queer and/or disabled, and so marginalised from having access to resources. Being an artist in Birmingham is hard, and making art your livelihood here can feel impossible. The buildings in the city which have the most money are often inaccessible, and even when folks are granted access, they can face harmful, oppressive and exploitative treatment. The lack of art spaces means that when this treatment happens, there are few alternatives. And if artists complain about the lack of opportunity, they're signposted to the capital city, London. As MAIA began to set up projects to address some of the needs that artists have in the city, we quickly realised that the issues we were working against were systemic and interlinked. Without artists having their basic material needs met, paying rent, eating food, caring for their children, how could they begin to find time to create, develop or produce work? We couldn't talk about sustaining creativity in communities without acknowledging the ways power and privilege manifest throughout society. In order for MAIA's work to be transformative, it had to fully comprehend the ways in which systems destroy the livelihoods and well-being of people, and invest in the radical imaginations of those who could begin to imagine something better. MAIA's work is done in community and is informed by 4 core values: justice, care, access and joy. Our vision is a world where artists are seen as powerful decision makers in how structures and systems work, and where the manifestations of systemic change are recognised as art. Our mission is to redefine what it means to be an artist, challenge who gets to make those dreams real, and invest in the transformative possibilities of the Black imagination. Our projects serve artists that the system does not serve by designing and developing spaces, redistributing resources, and providing creative programming. The first iteration of this mission is Yard. Originally a townhouse and the new Port Loop estate in Ladywood, Yard has been reimagined into an art house and community space where we host artists in residence, offer our space and facilities for hire at sliding scale prices, and run Free Yard, a regular programme of free activities for the community. At Yard Brunch, we work with up-and-coming local food businesses to provide free food for the community. At Wellness Wednesdays, we connect with local wellbeing practitioners to offer holistic taster treatments, provide rest space and wellness activities. Artist Drop-In is designed for artists in the city to come and use Yard spaces and facilities for free, helping them to connect with like-minded local creatives and have a safe space in which to work and create. Open House similarly gives local people free access to all of Yard's rooms and facilities, and we invite folks in the community to come and tell us about their latest projects and how we can support them. At Yard Sessions, we connect with local producers in Birmingham and offer them a paid residency with a month-long access to our music studio to develop their practice and to work with other musicians in the space. While we work to curate a programme that serves our community most effectively, in truth, the most powerful resource that we offer to folks is free access to space in which we can be in community together. The magic in our work rests in the ways in which different people find each other and come together at Yard. Whether it's the young person bringing in books on politics and liberation from mini Yard library, or folks swinging by with fresh food to share, or an artist who's reached a dead end with a project and just so happens to meet the perfect person who can help them to solve it. It's being witness to these sorts of conversations, acts of mutual aid and love between strangers, which is the true essence, spirit, and privilege of spending time at Yard. Yard is born from the back of our plans to establish an artist-led hotel, Abuelas, which will operate similarly to Yard, but on a much bigger scale, and will take the cultural sector's hospitality spend and reinvest it back into community, grassroots groups, and independent artists. Designs are underway, and we are applying all of our learnings from Yard to this process. We ask for organisations to invest in spaces like Yard, to invest in the artists who are building spaces like Yard, and to make funding opportunities more accessible and reachable for local people with radical visions for the city. We ask for organisations to understand the importance of working from a place of care rather than focusing on momentary, transactional outcomes. Systemic inequality is not solved by quick fixes. Time and resources have to be committed to understanding the barriers that individual artists face when trying to share their work. Without this, you cannot build genuine or meaningful relationships with any of the marginalised communities you claim to support. These folks deserve time, investment, care, and nurture. They deserve more than a moment. I'm now just going to share some words from my own perspective as an artist in the Black creative workforce in this city. I've worked freelance across the region in a number of capacities: actor, writer, singer, facilitator, poet, theatre maker, and filmmaker. And I'm so grateful to Amber and Amara and the whole of the MAIA team for seeing the value in me as an artist and inviting me to work with them at Yard. Something that I think this industry fails to recognise is the artist as a whole. And in order for us to thrive, that is something that needs to change. Many of us have had to work unconventional jobs to sustain ourselves. And many of those jobs on a CV won't get you a look in for roles such as artistic director, CEO, creative producer, or even my current role at Yard as community lead. For context, I've worked as an elf. I was cast as a horse 2 years on the trot. I, just a few weeks ago, was cycling around the streets of Coventry on a tricycle full of brightly coloured flags. Not exactly cultural leader material, one might think. My ambition when coming into this industry was to be able to perform on the same stages that I stared at in awe as a child. And I can now say that I have performed on many stages, some of which were amazing moments. I've worked with theatre companies, organisations, and been on a number of development programmes, some more nurturing than others. Through my career, I've met artists and practitioners that have made me fall in love with the work we do over and over again. And what surprises me every time is that there are leaders in this sector operating in this region that have no idea that some of those artists exist. That's strange to me because there is no one more tenacious than an artist. There is no one more well-connected than an artist. We seek people, we seek stories, we seek change, and then we make it. We're imperfect beings, and we're brave enough to talk about it, to make art about it, to hold up a mirror to society and say, hey, look, you're not alone, we're broken too. We're brave. And as artists, we always knew that we'd need to be in order to share parts of ourselves through our medium. As a member of the Black creative workforce, you also have to be a different type of brave. You have to be brave enough to turn up on the first day, knowing that you'll probably be the only person that looks like you in the space. The only one that will be worried if certain topics come up because you'll be forced to defend your own being. The only one whose costume doesn't fit because your hip to waist ratio wasn't taken into account. The only one who will be asked to do their own hair and makeup. The only one who will be asked if they're in the right place when they enter the building. When things like this happen to the Black creative workforce, in the very spaces they've yearned to be in, this region risks losing them. It risks losing the imagination of that artist, the bravery, the boldness, the beauty. We need leadership that is brave enough to recognise and interrogate how their own practices and environments are currently harmful towards the Black creative workforce. We need leadership to invest and connect with places like Yard, who are holding space for artists week in and week out. We need leadership that wants to champion and support us with intention and care, that are willing to take a risk in order to keep us, and radically fight for us as a whole, recognising what we bring to the table simply by existing as artists. And if you don't know where to begin, I bet I know a few artists that can help. Thank you.